Ramirez Ray. My company is Random Words Marketing, and I'm also running for school board. I will be the MC today. The Kaufman Foundation founded the 1 Million Cups in 2012 with the purpose of engage, inspire the entrepreneurs. Today, around the world, many people is taking coffee like us. This could not happen without the help of the volunteers who will come in the front to let us the name and your company, please. Can you come about the volunteers of 1 Million Cups?
Yeah.
Tony?
Oh, sorry. I'm Tony Barnett with Engel Group.
Darnell Johns, and I'm also Myosha Mendez today.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm glad.
Yes, don't I look cute?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
I'm trying to figure out what's
And you're
different
so
about you today.
and you're so tall with your heels.
Jen Dawson with Brand Mirror.
Laura Drain?
Russ McIntosh, Vision Idea Design.
Hi, I'm John Yu with Office Evolution.
And don't forget to log into the 1 Million Cups app to prove you were here.
So we have an agenda we will try to accomplish today. We will talk about, our speaker will talk around 6 minutes.
Yes.
But the most important part is all the feedback that you do, please take notes here so he can take it with him. It's very important we have standards here in 1 Million Cups. We have to be very respectful and we have to be very soft when we make comments. We are very aggressive. And it's a lot of diversity here, so be respectful the way that you talk. That is one of the few of the standards that you know. So, other point that's very important for 1 Million Cups is to have a sponsor. So our coffee sponsor today is Career Coffees, and Akiko will tell us about it.
Good morning. My name is Akiko Cox. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I just recently moved here.
Howdy.
Welcome.
I'm sorry.
And I'm here to talk about Career Confidence. It's a service that's provided to anyone here in the local area. We help job seekers look for, help themselves find jobs. So what we do is we have presentations on job interview skills, how to work on your resume, how to set up LinkedIn. It's a great service and it's free. So I have a pamphlet here and I'll be here until this morning. So you're more than welcome to pick it up if you know anyone that might need our services. So that's my quick spill.
Thank you very much.
When and where do you meet?
We meet here on Saturdays from 8 to 12, 8 to 12, and then we have office in Loudoun County that's just opening up this Thursday evening, and then we have another office in Rockville. And if you go here, we've got Meetup and we've got LinkedIn.
Thank you
sites.
very much.
How do we find you?
Career-confidence.
What's the
Yeah,
website?
careerconfidence.org.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
So many questions.
So, we have a space, we could not be here, so let's go invite John Duke to say a couple of words. He's the sponsor for this space.
Hey, John! Welcome, everybody. 1 Million Cups is a fantastic organization where we get together and share ideas and support entrepreneurs and business owners. And that's why we at Office Evolution love to partner with 1 Million Cups, because we're focused on building a community. So if you look at our banner, community, and if you look at 1 Million Cups, building a community. So it's no coincidence that we're sort of kind of come together and host events like this. We're provide co-working space and office space and meeting room space. We're located just across the hallway from us, but most importantly, enjoy the meeting. I think you'll find it really useful and very productive.
Thank you very much. Thank you, John.
How do we find you?
You can find him when go out on the right with the left, and you will be there. So we'll invite Demetrios to tell us about your company, and welcome.
Thank you.
Woo!
So first of all, thank you for having me.
and I would like to talk a little bit about DomiDocs, which is an endeavor that started in earnest just about a year ago. That was the brainchild of the founder and CEO, William McKenna, who's based down in Florida. And he had the idea about 3 years ago. Didn't do anything until we met last year, and then we started putting it to build something that hopefully people will like and want to use. So what we do is we enable people to digitize, let's say, their property. In other words, document your property, so everything about it is available online, searchable, and can be updated based on what you do. That information we can actually enrich with additional data, whether it is from public sources or from analysis that we do on the data. And then we provide back recommendations, mostly focusing on how you can improve the value of your home. What we're finding is that resonates a lot with builders, because a lot of what they do with the new properties is they give them over to a new homeowner, and usually it's a 3-ring binder or a CD or DVD, and that's it. And they're interested in using this for the digital handoff to the new homeowner. And of course, they would like to be able to go back and see what additions or improvements have been made to the property, because that helps them later on as they develop new communities. What we are in need of is here, beta users, whether those are homeowners or builders, and later on we would like to get into real estate brokers and real estate agents. We would like introduction to builders. We're talking with 2 large ones right now, Toll Brothers and D.R. Horton, plus a smaller regional in South Florida that does very high-end homes, who's starting to use the platform. But we would like to speak with smaller regional builders because we feel that the requirements may be slightly different from what the large ones are looking for. And constructive feedback. We know the platform is not the easiest one in the world yet, but we're getting there. So we're targeting the real estate industry, which is huge, but just on the documentation side. And we identified that as a problem because the majority of those documents right now are paper-based. And from a homeowner perspective, maybe you have them, maybe you don't have them. If you need something, you really don't know where to find it. And if you're able to find it, it takes a long period of time. So if it is available somewhere and organized, then it makes it much easier to find and then get immediate value out of it. So it's the archival, the organization, the storage, the retrieval, and the update. Initially, what we do is currently we're working on the freemium services. So basically an area where you can store all those documents. We have some analytics that basically compute the value based on information that we have. And the more information that you provide, that more accurate it becomes. And it shows trends as well. And that's the true value index. We are looking to provide premium services, but we're not there yet. I mean, we're only doing it for a year now, and slowly, we're building those services. Here's, based on discussions we had with potential users, these are the different values that are per user role. A lot on the homeowner side, primarily because of the analysis that we're doing on the data and the organization of the data, but also on the builder side. And we have talked with some real estate agent associations who were interested as well, because they see that as a potential of being in front of the homeowner because we do have some branding capabilities within the platform. So when it's time to sell or you're thinking of something, you have the agent there, you have the broker there, you can always go back and touch base with them. Here's who the core team is behind the this venture. William is the CEO. He's got an enterprise software sales background, and that fits well with what needs to be done here, which is sales. Phil has been a CFO at a number of startups and larger companies, and he has done a few exits as well. I'm the CTO. Mark has been the CTO of the National Association of Realtors, and he's working with us targeting the blockchain side of the platform. We also have an extensive group of advisors. Jeff has been the CEO of, I forget this, Remax, and he has moved on to another company right now. Brian, many years of marketing. Greg, mostly on the investors and IPOs. Debbie is blockchain and also a lawyer. And Kevin has been a valuation expert. This is what it looks like to the most part. So you see now where the branding comes in. And we provide some other statistics on what information has been uploaded and how that tracks with the analysis. You can see all your documents and they're searchable, and you can also bring them up and look at them. We also break certain document categories out so they're easier to find. And we also have the ability to create a service provider list if you have good ones that you can always go back to. Also a calendar, so certain things are already there based on the documents that you upload. Others you can create entries based on what services you may have. And we also have the ability to share documents, and those are shared securely. So this is sharing with a third party. They can only view the document on the browser, and they cannot download or do anything else unless you provide them this capability. So the whole idea is that it's a secure platform that you can work with your documents, and you have full control of who has access for how long, and you can revoke that control anytime. And that's where the blockchain backend comes in, because we basically use it for the access management and the revoking of rights. That's it.
All right. Can we go back to the challenge question?
Yeah, you had it on the first one.
All right, so for those that were new to our meeting, so this is a part of our meeting where we provide him with some guidance, some suggestions, and questions and Q&A segment of our meeting today. And so what Demetrios has come to ask our group is his business challenge questions. So beta user to use the platform, introduction to builder, constructive and critical feedback. And so, but before we get started, you'll see an index card in front of you. So feel free to jot down your comments, thoughts, and questions that you might have. We're going to try to get through all the questions and comments today. And Tony is asking me to remind you to log into 1 Million Cups app. So if you have
One track mind, sorry. But this is the way Kaufman Foundation knows how many people actually were here. So yes, we appreciate it if you could take the time, if you haven't already downloaded the app, to download the app, load it on your phone, and then log in.
both iOS and Android devices.
Yes.
So.
Would it be a special prize for this?
We're gonna tell you your
If you come to happy hour next month, we might do something, yes.
Okay, good.
Right. So why don't we move on? So who has the first questions? Mike.
So I'm guessing that most homeowners aren't sitting around wondering if their documentation's up to date. When do you think customers, homeowners, would normally be coming to you? It seems like probably when they want to sell or rent their house.
Possibly. when they want to make some additions or improvements or other things to the property.
Okay.
And one of the things that we're seeing based on discussions with builders is that the life cycle of the property, and as it moves from owner to owner to owner, will start with the builders. So that's going to be the initial set of documentation that then homeowner will assume ownership of and update as it goes along.
Okay. Shannon.
Have you talked to any insurance companies like State Farm, for example, where if a homeowner leveraged this to capture all of the documentation and everything that's in the house to help maybe reduce their premium, right? Because it's a risk management play.
Mhm.
You're smiling like, yes, we have, and it didn't work, or maybe it did, or.
No, actually, that's one of the things that we've thought of, but we haven't reached out to insurance companies yet.
Because if it's part of the insurance onboarding, they would be much easier, a much better position to get someone to try it. Because you
Interesting.
have to have homeowners
Okay,
insurance.
that's an interesting approach. That's a great point. Thanks.
All right, and then we'll go to Tom.
What is your business model? How do you make money? Short term and longer term, right?
Yes. So the business model is different from what we're seeing from the B2B side and what it is from the B2C side. The B2B side, we've talked with some builders and we said something anywhere between $250 to $500 per property, and they thought that is more than a reasonable amount because they can pass that on to the homeowner. From a B2C side on the consumer, possibly a monthly membership on the premium packages.
But you store the document up there and that's it. You wait until you sell the house. So you charge a monthly fee? That seems to be a lot to ask.
It's going to be a very small fee.
So think of
if
$5,
we're-
$10.
Yeah, something like that.
But still, like $100 a year,
Mhm.
and probably people not going to use it for a long time. But anyway, something to think of. Yeah.
There's a freemium model and there's a premium model. So, a consumer can have the option to upgrade at any time or not upgrade.
So is there a free model?
Yeah.
Basic? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. There's a basic free model.
Right.
Next we'll go to James.
Hi Dimitri, I'm James Lawson. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing probably 4 different markets that you're looking at right now.
Mhm.
Okay. My personal confusion right now is what's the value proposition for each of these different marketplaces. As a homeowner, as a consumer, I swear to God, I got Dropbox for $10 a month. I'm done. I can put everything I want. So I'm kind of looking at that and going, why as a homeowner would this be a play for me? But I think for each of these markets, for me specifically right now, Dimitri, there's a lack of what is the true value for each of these different marketplaces to want to use something like this.
Mhm.
The home builder maybe, but for everybody else, I'm just a little confused. That's all.
Right.
So.
No, that's fine. It's understood because I haven't gone into the details of this. Okay. Part of what is happening and what we provide to the homeowner specifically is the True Value Index, which basically shows, based on the documentation, what the estimated value of the property is, and that doesn't only take into consideration what the automatic valuation models provide, but also the information that's provided by the homeowner. Okay. So as you do remodeling jobs or any improvements in the house and things like that, and you provide those documents, we'll be able to take that into consideration. Okay. And the other is that, yeah, you can put it in a Dropbox, but at the same time, this allows you to organize everything and find things easier.
All right, Tony, did you have a question? Okay, Tony.
So, who is the best benefactor of the system, of the document retention and record keeping? Who would benefit the most from it? Would it be the homeowner? Would it be the mortgage broker? Would it be the actual mortgage company? Who in your mind is the one that really is the best benefactor?
It's hard to tell because we had different discussions. and we've gotten varied feedback. We feel that the homeowner will definitely be a benefactor based on discussions that we had with a lot of homeowners. And they like this because of the organization and the ease of finding things. Based on discussions with builders, same thing, primarily because they're interested in the digital handoff and then the follow-through, whether that is for builder, what you call it, maintenance, or later on some other kind of arrangement with the homeowner.
Because from my experience, when a homeowner, you know, if you're going through the process, basically the home buyer is doing what they're told to do either by their legal counsel or by the mortgage company who's sitting there processing everything for them. So if this is now added into that process as a step, as an automated feature, perhaps marketing to the mortgage broker company or the company or the lender as an assurance piece for the documentation moving forward on that property, that might be where your target market is, because the homeowner is going to sit there and they're trying to minimize their cost all the way through the process because they're being overwhelmed with this cost, this cost, this cost, and they're getting to the point where it's like, you know, when is it going to end? But if you market to the mortgage brokers who sit there and include this as part of the process, then what happens is it's a built-in sale automatically, because now what you can do is you can license this out to the brokerage companies as a method for them to assure the accuracy and the viability of the documentation of the entire process. I think the lawyers would like it too. There are a couple in the room, so I'm sure that they can chime in at some point. But anything that verifies in the chain of, you know, the chain of custody of all the documentation on the property, it seems like the mortgage broker is probably the one that's going to be benefiting from having accurate document.
Can you jot that down?
Yes, I'm taking notes for you so you don't have to.
Yeah, so we're gonna be collecting all those notes, and then so.
Interesting point. We haven't thought of it that way. We thought that the mortgage brokers or mortgage companies in general may be interested for lead generation. That's completely the other way around, which we can always approach in the city. Thanks.
So we'll come here. Daniel, did you have a question? And then we'll come.
So
here, and then
Tony really said exactly what I wanted to say, which was, as a homeowner, this would be of value later on down the line when I'm looking for my documentation. But the mortgage company or the company that is selling me my house, this would be a nice little feature that they can offer me, which would be good. But as a homeowner, I could just throw this in Dropbox. I do like the calendar feature where it will tell me, hey, your warranty is run out, and it'll share all of that. But like he said, at that point, you're thinking about every dime. And maybe if they put the cost into, or maybe the mortgage company can take the cost because it's a benefit to them, because now they have a reason to follow up with you on certain things and help you upgrade your house or something like that. But for the homeowner, I wouldn't tie that into my 30-year mortgage.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, my name is Bobby. I am also happen to be a real estate broker. I'm just like self-employed, don't have employees or anything. My question for you is this: many mortgage companies, they bring in appraisal. They don't need somebody to. Appraisal is a fresh, new picture of what's going on the value of the property. Many homeowners would like a CMA, which is comparative market analysis, to evaluate what's the value of their property. And then it goes back to you as what services are you providing, and starting with what? What is your baseline evaluation? Is it the renovations, or is it what's the worth of the property like 50 years ago, and you're going from there? This is my impression, is that you're gonna start with something that is very, very beginner. Like I know a neighbor of mine, she bought her house 50 years ago at $20,000, Is that your baseline? You're gonna start there and then move it forward to the present? What about the location-wise? The prices change location-wise.
Right. The original purchase price of the home is historical information. We use third-party data sources to get the value of the house. So that's where the automated valuation model comes in. So we have those values that we base when we compute the true value index.
But you didn't answer my question. You had asked the baseline cost that you are gonna evaluate the property on, and you're saying it's gonna go historically to what the value of the house was 50, 60 years ago. That doesn't give the homeowner a lot of value of the property because we're missing so many other factors that are factored into the price, which is location, condition, and all of that. You are missing a lot of factors in your evaluation. Like, for example, Zillow is a company right now very popular just because they're cutting down, they're discounting the agents' fees. Is that what you're planning to do? Is that like one thing that you're, do you refer your services to other agents, like you said, Wells Fargo or whatever? So what does the homeowner get from your services, basically?
Okay, so two main questions there. Let me address first.
I'm sorry.
First of all,
Briefly. Because if you can also jot down your questions, we're gonna try to get to everybody.
Yes, the valuation itself, we're using current data, okay? So it's gonna be what we're using, because we're using third-party data sources, the valuation is based on a month-old data that take into consideration what properties go in the particular neighborhood. So it's gonna be current value rather than historical value, okay? From there on, whether we're gonna do referrals to agents and so on, we don't know yet. We are not at the transaction point, we are at the documentation. So we're not a Zillow, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, if you can also jot down some of the questions, I think you bring up really good points.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll go next to Tom and then we'll, yeah.
Tom Scheich, Long and Foster. God forbid that I discuss and argue with Tony, but I think your real play is with the title company, not the mortgage company. The mortgage company's got their paperwork 7 ways to Sunday. They know your name of your first child, every birthday that'll ever happen. And it's all tucked away, and it's held very close, regulated by the government. The title company is the same thing, but they have got the most updated information when you buy your house. And that, to me, would be the time that the place to market your services do. And they would then be able to move right into the homeowner and have some kind of a fee if the homeowner's willing to do that. The services that you're providing with being able to pull your documentation up would be tremendous to a lot of homeowners because they lose their paperwork, they can't find it. I got a call Monday morning. I sold a house 9 years ago, had an oil tank in it. Owner of the purchase had thought he had a brand new tank. He's not so sure now. He wanted paperwork that he thought I had saying that it was a brand new oil tank. So I spent hours digging through all my stuff as he did his. We don't have the documentation. Maybe if we had it through you, it'd be great. And I like the idea of the blockchain on the back end. Make real estate industry here in Virginia. There you go.
Thank you, Tom. Deb.
Thanks. And actually, talking about title companies, we started talking with First American. We don't know how it's gonna go, but they seem to be a little bit interested as well.
Title companies are one that are responsible for buying a title insurance or stuff like that.
No, I'm talking about the title company that's actually gonna close the transaction.
Right.
So both sides sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good points. We'll come here and then here. So, yeah, Jen.
Circling back to who this is really for, the question I was struggling with is who owns the data? So if I'm a homeowner and and I'm uploading all of this documentation, and I'm wonderful at it. When I go to sell my house, am I authorizing and saying this data is now the next owner's, right? If it's the title company that owns the data, then I as a homeowner just need to be mindful of whatever I upload, like, right? So my question to you is, do you own the data? Who owns the data? Because whoever owns the data is your actual core target customer. You can onboard any of these documents at any point. Title, realtor, blah, 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 blah. Who owns the data? And the knowledge about that house.
Right. Great question, because that goes into the privacy and security that we've got on the platform. And the principle right now is that you as the homeowner own the data, because effectively you're doing the documentation.
Can you speak up, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The homeowner owns the data, okay? And as a homeowner, you control who the data goes to. So, if you're going to sell the property and you transfer the property to the next homeowner, you can go and define document by document which one can transfer to the new homeowner and which cannot. Because we understand certain of those documents are going to private. You may have security insurance information and other things. Other stuff like title, plot information, architectural drawings and things like that, it's part of the house, might as well move to the next owner.
But if I'm not a nice person and I don't transfer the data, then the value of your platform isn't valuable to the next owner. So do you have a set of criteria that these have to transfer, everything else is optional?
Right now, we don't. We know that there are certain documents that definitely should be transferred, but we haven't set what that set of documents is. We can definitely get there at some point, but right now it's the homeowner that controls what actually transfers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we'll come here.
All right. So I'm a homeowner. I don't plan on selling my house anytime soon. At least my wife doesn't plan on it. But so I have a couple questions, right? And I wrote all this down for future reference, right?
Yeah.
So me as a homeowner, I want to interact with my tenants. I have a house in North Carolina. I can't travel and all that kind of stuff. Documentation is important for us. And so the main thing with this is making sure that we can dialogue with our tenants and that they can get their documentation. We can upload our everything, all our documentation on this website, and then with the calendar, we can put all that stuff on as far as our tenants are concerned. But I do have a few questions. The evaluation that you say you offer, can I take your evaluation to the bank and say I want my money based off of your evaluation that you give? As far as the how much my house is worth, can I take your evaluation and take it to the bank and say, hey, based off of this documentation, this is how much my house is worth, give me my money?
No bank will go with that.
Okay.
Every bank that is going to do a mortgage or something else on a property, they'll take their own appraisals and have them go in to do an appraisal on the house.
All right. Is your do you have a web/desktop version of this? I mean, like not web, but mobile.
Not yet.
Okay.
The website is mobile enabled, okay, but it's fairly cumbersome, so I'm not going to say.
Okay.
The objective is that we would like to build mobile apps that allow you to more easily do the documentation. So, for example, you got a new refrigerator, take a picture of the barcode and upload that, and based on that, we'll source the manual for the refrigerator and make it part of the documentation. Those kind of things.
All right, good. We go in the back. Mike, please, yeah.
Okay, so I thought Tony's question was awesome because it got everybody thinking. To me, the documentation is most valuable to the buyer or the renter. And the fact that this documentation might be available saying what all the improvements have been done, they're all permitted, they've all been done according to certain specifications, blah, blah. That will build confidence in the transaction, the sale of the lease. So convincing the homeowner to do this because you're gonna build value in the transfer is, I think, invaluable. And that, in that sense, you can treat the homeowner who wants to sell or rent his house exactly like you're treating the builder. You might even build in the pricing model that way. But I have one additional question is there any protectable intellectual property in here? patentable or trademarks or anything like that?
Actually, yes. We've got 3 patents that we applied for. One is the True Value Index. One is on the use of blockchain, and I forget what the other one is.
Hi, Demetrios. You are asking for our help with getting beta users and introductions.
Yes.
Can you tell us what your ideal beta user looks like, or which types of beta users you want, and what you'd like to get from their use of the platform?
So beta users right now would be homeowners and builders. Builders, any type, and currently we would like preferably smaller to mid-size because we think their requirements are going to be simpler and we'll be able to work closer together. The type of feedback that we're looking for is the value of the platform, how it can be easier or how it can be modified to streamline the whole process, the features and the functionality and all that kind of stuff. So basically, from a user perspective, what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to see.
And what kind of homeowners? Is it strictly single family, condominium, rental properties? I mean, what kind of homeowners, or any kind at the moment?
Well, any kind, but you know, it's a homeowner. Whether the home is a single family, is a townhouse, is a condo, doesn't make a difference. Rentals can work as well. So we don't have anything built in for multifamily right now.
So how does someone become a beta user?
Talk to me.
Okay.
That's simple. Okay, Brian.
As I hear this, are you going to be a one-size-fits-all platform, or will there be certain different services that are tailored to the homeowner versus the realtor versus the builder?
Great question. We would like to get there. That's why we're asking for feedback too.
Okay. Just one follow-up then. If you're going to do that, be careful about listening only to the large builders, just from a builder perspective, because every tech person who comes to a small company and says, we have the platform that's going to streamline your systems, it ends up being a part-time job just trying to navigate the system because it's so complicated.
Correct.
So that would be my biggest word of encouragement that's on here as well.
And that's why I would like to.
I'm in.
From a builder standpoint. Okay, we'll go to Tony.
Okay. So my earlier thought was with the brokerage, and then Tom said the title company, and that got me thinking. And I realized, who is the benefactor? Who is the one that's going to use this the most? And then it dawned on me. When the builder builds a house, he's registering everything that is in that home, all the components, including the appliances and everything else. Then when the homeowner moves in and makes changes, as someone mentioned, that's registered with permitting and everything else. So, who is the one organization that benefits from all that information more than anybody else?
Texas.
The insurance company. Whenever there's a claim filed, they want the documentation on every component and all the pieces of that house. Have you approached the insurance companies with them to sit there and see if this is something that they would offer as part of the homeowner's insurance plan to have complete and total accurate documentation of everything in that home?
Well, no, we have not approached it. It's a very interesting point, and it can work both ways, because insurance companies don't like to pay. So what William did earlier this year, he had a claim with his house. The insurance company wanted to pay something like $15,000. Because of all the documentation that he had, he was able to get the insurance company to pay $100K.
Okay.
So we don't know whether the insurance company will be the right target, but that's a potential.
Well, the insurance company would want accuracy.
Yeah.
And they want an accurate history. They don't want, and they're always dealing with fraud and risk. So as a result, having that as a secure thing, that might be an avenue to have your development people or your salespeople point to and say, would you guys be interested in this? And if so, would you be interested in funding this?
Right. Interesting point.
All right.
We'll explore.
The front.
Yeah, it's not a question, but it's just adding to whatever they say about insurance. Yeah, insurance will be one of the people that you wanna talk to, because I work with insurance people, and they're always asking me, because I also work with real estate and mortgage, so they're always asking me about things about the house, you know, so I help them to do that. So this will be great for them, so that way they can get all that information, you know. But about building, like they say also, you know, if you buy a house, then you're not gonna do anything like for 20 years. So one of the group that probably will help you or will be good for you guys is the homes and the ocean, by the ocean, because they always have to redo the properties, you know, like 10 years, 15 years. So it's gonna be a need for them to know, because you know a lot of people move from Miami, Virginia Beach, you know, things like that. That would be something.
Location.
Location, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Okay.
Next we'll go to James.
So this is not a question, Demetrios, it's more an observation and some feedback. If you were my client, I would be telling you right now, you need to start looking at 5 different things. Because I still have no clue what the real value proposition is. But I think what you need to do is look at this from a hierarchical standpoint. And whether it's an insurance company, a title company, a mortgage company, I would be going to one of them and saying, listen, you start here, but you're touching everybody else. Whoever that person is, and I don't know who it is. But that's the one. And the value proposition that you build for this company and this platform has to be something that's going to differentiate them and give them a competitive advantage. Because here's what's going to happen. You're looking at all these different things and you're trying to create and find a way that makes it valuable to all of them, when in fact, making it valuable just to the one who's touching everybody else and that become your distribution channel, one, it's going to make life significantly easier. Your marketing is going to be significantly easier. Your value proposition is going to get real clarity on this. And by the way, you know, if you're licensing this, if you want to license this out, or on a pay per play type situation, you're letting them figure out who the people are going to be underneath this. I just think you have to simplify it. This looks way too complicated, and that's for me. I could be a dumbass. I don't know. I don't think I am. Right? Simplification and things like this work. This is too complex, in my opinion.
Okay. No. So a little bit historical. We started focusing on the homeowner. After we had a couple of discussions with builders, we realized the homeowner is not really the initial user, because they don't necessarily have all the documents, but the builder is. And we're focusing more on the builders right now, which, as we start with new construction companies, that will bring in the homeowner, and then the rest should fall out.
We just have 2 more questions to go. We'll go with Jen and then
2 quick questions. One, can it be white labeled?
Yes.
And 2, have you talked to any homeowners associations?
No.
Thank you.
okay. All right.
All right, so again, I'm just speaking from a homeowner's point of view. I'm interested to find out. Credit Karma gives me a credit score of 850, and then I find out that I got a credit score of 700 when I actually go somewhere. So is your evaluation kind of similar to that? Like, what's the, like if I, like you said, I can't take your evaluation through the bank, but because somebody else will. But based off of you saying, hey, Darren, your house may be worth this amount, but then I go somewhere, or when I actually go through the process and realize that that's not the case, like how accurate do you think? I guess this is a kind of crazy question, because obviously you may say, yes, my evaluation is great, but you know, how accurate on a number do you think that you would be able to give me if I were to move forward?
So, I'm not a salesman, so I will say I have no clue. Okay. As I said, we base the valuation of the house on automated valuation models and values that are provided from third-party data sources. So that's similar to where Zillow and a few others start. So if you compare the base value that we are working with and what Zillow provides, it's extremely close. But then what we're trying to do, if you have made some additions, some remodeling, you put new HVAC or stuff like that, we try to take that into consideration to the value of the house. Okay. Now, whether an appraiser will take that into consideration the same way that we do, we don't know, because every single one of them does a completely different job.
All right, I think that's all the time we have. I'll give them another round of applause. So this is what's all about, 1 Million Cups. You know, we come together as a business community, and the collective brain power is something that you cannot ignore, because everybody comes from a different perspective and looking at the problem in a different way. And so there's a lot of feedback. Apologize if we didn't get to all of you. If you can write down some of the feedback that you wanted to give to Demetrios but didn't have a chance to do so, we're going to be collecting all those. As a last questions, I'm going to reserve it to Danielle, our co-organizer for our 1 Million Cups.
So first of all, congratulations on finding a product of value. And the second piece is also, you know, using the platform of 1 Million Cups to really provide value to your customers. And so thank you for that. So with that, my last question is what can 1 Million Cups Fairfax do for you?
Great question. Introductions. So what we're looking for right now is primarily builders, and also to talk with real estate agents. And I'll qualify why. We had some discussions with the Miami Association of Realtors, and they liked what they saw because of the organization, the documents, and the ability to do some marketing and be in front of the homeowner with the platform. So we'd like to get more feedback from other realtors and other associations to get an idea whether that was a one-off or others feel the same way. Okay. But the builders definitely, because as we talk with the big builders, we definitely know that the smaller ones are going to have different needs, and we need to understand what those are and how this platform could add value to them.
So we have, I believe, 2 realtors in the house. If you could raise your hand. If we have more, please raise your hand. And then we have 1 builder in the house. One of the best builders in the world, the lifestyle guy. So make sure that you touch base with them before you leave.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
So it takes a lot of courage to present in a large group like this. So with that, we want to reward you with our coveted 1 Million Cups. And please come back and tell us all right. Want to come up there, my friend?
Hello.
Yeah.
I don't know. Thank you again, Demetrios. We appreciate it.
He's also an organizer for.
I know, he's also an organizer for 1 Million Cups out in Houston. So very excited.
Yeah.
Just a quick reminder of a few things. We do actually have to be out of here before 10 o'clock, so we have a few minutes to network. But then, if you want to keep networking, go over to Office Evolution across the hall. We
To
do
John's
have
office.
presenters scheduled through October 2nd. If you're interested in presenting or have someone you know that could benefit from feedback from the group, please have them apply. We're happy to work with them and make sure they have everything they need to be successful here. We're always looking for organizers, so if you're interested in doing that or even just trying it out for a little while, we can help you there. And then last but not least, September 12th from 6 to 9, we will be at Chima Steakhouse with he travels with me,
I'm a hype man.
You can register that for that at 1mchappyhour.eventbrite.com. It is free. Feel free to bring people. We're gonna have all of the 1 Million Cups in this area attending together. You can also be a sponsor if you're interested. Talk with Tony afterwards in the back of the room. So have a fabulous day, and we will see you here next Wednesday. Thank you, everybody.